By 1645, the Civil War had been fought around villages, towns and cities across most of Britain for 4 years, and things were not going well for the king, who was not only suffering from a string of significant defeats and a dwindling number of supporters, but was running desperately short of cash. For soldiers, fighting on the side of Parliament, things were looking better. The formation of the new model army had standardised their clothing into something resembling a uniform. They received regular supplies of food and ammunitions, and foremost in the minds of many of those soldiers, they were paid their wages regularly and on time. This, however, was not the case for the king's army. They were poorly dressed, poorly fed, waited weeks to be paid, and even then often received only a fraction of the money that they were owed. And with people's attitude towards money being essentially the same then as it is now, a fair day's work for a fair day's pay, emergency measures were needed. In an attempt to address the dire shortage of money available to the king's forces, some commanders began to issue money of necessity, more commonly referred to today as siege tokens. These were not the wartime coinage that the king had struck at Oxford in an attempt to assert his royal command, but were often simple designs struck into fragments of silver that had been cut from plates, cups and other items of silver. This was not a new idea. In fact, it's been used for over 2,500 years. In around 550 BC, King Croesus of Lydia issued gold coinage struck from items brought from the houses of the wealthy whilst the city was under siege from the armies of the Persian king Cyrus the Great. In 1529, ducats were issued in Vienna whilst the city was held under siege by the Ottoman king Suleiman the Magnificent. During the Franco-Spanish War of the mid-17th century, the Spanish-held town of Aix-sur-la-Lys in France issued clip coins, struck from the cups and plates of the churches. When the French eventually retook the town, they in turn issued their own 10-sol clip coins in the name of King Louis XIII. In 1644, the Royalists issued a proclamation demanding silver be donated to their cause. A young man from Carlisle at the time the Scots were threatening the town wrote, "An order was published to every citizen to bring in their plate to be coined, which they did cheerfully." The result was Civil War siege money. It's far easier to cut silver plates into fragments with straight sides than it is to cut the more familiar circular coins. This makes most surviving examples very easy to recognise, and the most famous of these issues comes from Newark-on-Trent, where these coins were struck on lozenge-shaped pieces of silver cut to specific weights. At Newark, they were issued in denominations of sixpence, ninepence, a shilling or 12pence, and the half-crown, the 30p. At that time, the value of a coin was contained in the amount of precious metal used to make it, making the half-crown 5 times heavier than the sixpence. Pontefract in West Yorkshire issued coinage similar in shape to the Newark issues, struck with an image of Pontefract Castle, whilst at Carlisle they made the extra effort to cut the familiar circles upon which their 1 and 3 shilling pieces were struck. At Scarborough, they appeared to favour quantity over quality. Their issues are roughly cut and irregular in shape, but they produce the greatest range of denominations of any siege issues of the Civil War in Britain. The lowest value Scarborough issue was the groat, or the 4-penny coin, but they also produced the 5-penny, the 6-penny, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11-penny coins, shillings, 1 shilling and a penny, 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 4, 6, 9, 2 shillings, 2 and 4, the half-crown. These odd denominations continued all the way up to the mighty 8 shilling or crown. When the Civil War ended and the Parliamentarian General Oliver Cromwell was made Lord Protector of England, most of these siege pieces were recalled along with the standard coinage, and they were used to produce the Republic coinage, which remained in use until the restoration of the monarchy in 1660. This has made them extremely sought after today by collectors, where they command prices from a few hundreds to several thousands of pounds, with the most desirable being the Scarborough issues, with the few crowns known to survive being valued at over £45,000 each. Not bad for something that started life as an old plate.